Hey, what's up, my Dragon Legion? How you all been? Christian Dragoon here, coming at you all with yet another CardFight Vanguard deck profile. This is going to be yet another Kagero deck profile, but this will not involve the Legend, nor the X, nor the Great. This is kind of a rebirth deck profile of, well, Rebirth right here. Now, this is not normally a build that I haven't been able to do tackle on too often until recently, but ever since the Kagero Legend Trial deck, ever since I picked it up, and ever since I messed around with some of the cards with this deck right here, I decided to mess around with those builds, take this to my locals, and the build is actually doing pretty good so far. Nowhere, just like my Great Legend build, it still needs some work here and there, but for the most part, the build is actually doing pretty good right now. It's a very heavy aggressive deck, so it's a deck that's all about going for the kill, going for the heavy amount of power, and with the 16 strides while the rebirth going all out added to your opponent will barely have any chances to block out some cards, and even if they do successfully block out a good portion of your attacks, by then they won't really have too many stuff to have for utility for when their turn comes. So it's a very aggressive, powerful deck. Now, this is not normally with my Kagero decks recently. I've always been using something that allows you to recruit stuff back into your deck besides just Dragonic Burnout, like Legion, perfect example. But this deck has nothing with Legion in them. This is a heavy, aggressive, powerful deck that's all about going straight for the kill. So I am going to be tackling onto a few things that are a little bit weird about this deck that I haven't been able to do in the past. So yeah, I'll be explaining my choices, what I'm doing with the deck here and there, for those of you who do not understand how the build works. And yeah, I'll be doing my explanation here and there to tell you all how the deck has been. As always, for those of you who are just here at Net Deck, I did leave the deck list in the description down below. For those of you who are here just Net Deck, I only ask that you drop a like on your way out. It means a lot to me. It's very appreciative. And with that being said, let's move on straight into the deck profile. So, start off with your listed hero Undex as your forerunner of the deck right here, and you're starting Vanguard. Next interesting card. It is a bummer that he's a GB1, meaning that you can't use this guy's ability until you stride or Guardian at least once. So it is a bummer. You have to wait a little bit before you have to use this guy's ability. But when you do get this guy's ability, it's actually pretty good, actually. With a deck like this, now and then there are those games where I'll have a Dragonic Overlord in my hand, but now Rebirth or Reverse Vista, and when that happens, I'll have this guy's ability to help me get that Overlord that I really need crucially bad. And yeah, just being able to set my plays up for when I do later plays for Rebirth, and maybe even Stride cost as well. It's just a very crucially good card in general. So yeah, one of the heroes fine for right now at the moment. And now for triggers. For triggers, we have obviously your 4 heals. No explanation needed why the heals are so good. And for trigger, there we go. For the trigger lineup, we have the 4 draw and the 8 critical line over here. Now, I talked about a lot in the past that I was gonna maybe cut down 2 draws, and so I can put in at least 2 more criticals. But I decided to keep the 8 crits and 4 draws because this build up line right here is still crucially important. You're still very, very aggressive as you want to be, but the problem is you do need those Gatling Claw Dragons in order to pop off those rear guards. Rear guards. You do need the Gatling Claw Dragons to pop off those annoying foreigners that you don't want to deal with, and Gatling Claw Dragon just happens to be a good answer to those annoying cards here and there when you don't want to deal with those annoying foreigners. And yeah, he's just a nice, decent card. And obviously, even though this deck is very heavy aggressive, a little draw here and there is always really nice. So the 4 draws will be staying in the deck for right now at the moment. And that is all I'm really doing for the trigger lineup. Now for the grade 1s. For the grade 1s, we had the 4 Protect Orb Dragons. Unflip damage, perfect guards. Nothing really too special about this guy. Just a really nice fun addition for this deck right here. 4 instant strides, 4 level floor dragons. Just so I can have easier access to my strides. Even though this deck doesn't mind you pitching Overlords or Overlord Rebirths or regular Overlords in order to pay for your stride cost. Just having Lava Flow Dragons as pay for your stride cost instead is a very nice utility to have for this deck here and there, and just having earlier access to your strides, like easier access to your strides, helps this deck out a little bit here and there, and yeah, you can just do some really nice plays here and there. And next up, we have the 4 Lizard General Conros. Nice new addition for this deck right here. Just the ability where if he's called a rearguard circle, you can I'm sorry, look at the camera. Anyways, when he's called Rearguard Circle, if you have a grade 3 Overlord, or if you have a grade 3 hand, you can reveal your opponent what he's called, search your deck for any Overlord, protect your hand, and then after you do so, you pitch a card, which is a very nice ability here and there. Like, it gives you, like, just like my Lizard Hero, it gives you a nice utility where you could get more Overlords that you need for more stride costs, and for more break ride plays that you may want to do for this deck, which is just really fun to do for this deck here and there. And he also has a really nice ability where you can retire him to give your Overlord the ability where every time he swings, you can unflip 2 damage, which is very nice because even though both Overlords surprisingly don't need that much counterblasting, you do have other units here and there and that will require you to counterblast here and there. And there are those games where you will shockingly have quite a bit of your damage face down, and when that happens, you have the Lizard Hero, or I'm sorry, Lizard Soldier, General, wow, Lizard, General, Soldier, Hero, what the hell? You have your Lizard General to help you get your stride plays going and your other plays going here and there, which is just a nice card general. And finally, the 2 copies of Spirit of Flame Dragon Tahr, a really nice addition, also a really nice addition to this deck right here. It also combos all of your break riding, the cross break ride, the birth, limit break plays as well, because you can use this guy's ability right before you use your Rebirth lock ability. You can use this guy's ability real quick to give your Overlord the ability to gain 4,000 power, and the ability where every time he swings from the top 5, potentially get grade 3, which is a really nice, powerful ability. Because once you get your combos going, your Rebirth Overlord will attack 3 times total. And if you can get 3 grade 3s out of this guy's ability, you should be pretty much set of doing your more stride plays, all your burnout plays, and if you want, do potentially more cross break ride plays as well. So Tahr is a really nice, interesting card in general. And even if you don't want to do that, even if you go through games where you don't want to use Rebirth's ability, he still has that really nice ability where you can give your other Ephemeral Rearguards, or just a regular Stride Vanguard, whatever you prefer, the ability of 4,000 power, of gaining 4,000 power, and the ability whenever it swings, look at top 5 cards and get a grade 3 Flame Dragon. So, a really interesting card in general for a deck like this. And that right there was the grade 1 lineup. Now for the grade 2s. For the grade 2s, we have, of course, your 4 Dragonic Burnouts. No explanation needed why this bad boy is in this deck right here. When he's called Rearguard Circle, by mere cost of Soul Blasting Horn, you can not only get one of your Overlords from the drop zone back to the bottom of your deck, but you can also pop off any Rearguard your opponent has on the board. So, a really nice card in general. The next up, even though this deck is more reliant on using Rebirth's break riding ability, cross break rider ability, I decided to try give this guy a try, and that is 4 copies of Dragonic Emperor Dragon Knight Nouvelle. Now I know a lot of people are thinking, what is this guy doing outside of a legend deck? And well, yes, you are right. Yes, this guy does not gain the additional 5,000 when your rebirth attacks because of the obvious reason that the birth doesn't become grade 3. But what's really great about this guy is that unlike the original Nouvelle, this guy will become at least 11k attacker, which is nice, not bad. And second of all, you are playing abilities where you are going to be locking a lot, so it doesn't really matter if he's called Rearguard Circle or not, because he will get locked. But if you go through games where you don't lock your rear guards, you have the stride. You have the stride mechanic, which can later then pump up, and that's where he's there for. When you stride, he gets pumped up. When you don't stride, then you lock him, and then you make your plays right there. So no, the Hall doesn't really interrupt your plays as often as you think. So he's still 11k attacker, which is not bad. But when you get striding going on, he becomes at like 16, Ace going on 21. So no, it's just not bad for a deck like this. He's definitely better off. He's definitely a better card to play over the original Hall in a deck like this, especially with Stride now a thing now. And next up to finish off the grade 2s, 3 Twilight Orb Dragons. Now I choose this card over Dragonic Overlord. I choose this card over Berserk Lord Dragon because I didn't like the fact how Berserk Lord Dragon was very reliant on your your striding in order for him to be good. Whereas Twilight Orb Dragon is still great in none of general regards if you choose to stride. And rather you break ride, and there are those games where I have broke ride, but I did not use Rebirth's limit break ability to lock my rear guards. And when that happened, I had the Twilight Orb Dragon to help me retire off some rear guards here and there. So there are some nice universal plays you can do depending on what you're more comfortable with. And depending on what you're more comfortable with, Twilight Arrow Dragon is just there to back you up, whether you stride or not. As long as you stride or guard at least once, Twilight Arrow Dragon will be great there, backing you up, being your buddy to help you pop off some weird guards that you want to pop off, and just get over some weird nuisance plays that you want to get over very nicely. Especially for later on next turn or whatever, when you want to set yourself up for a break ride here and there. And there are some games where I had Broke Red Overlord, type of Overlord, regular ones to be more specifically, and him and Twilight working together, and after I got rid of a good portion of rear guards with the two working together, I then later on Broke Ride, and thanks to Twilight Arrow Dragon, I was able to have less rear guards to deal with, and I was able to get rid of some options and go for some nice clean sweep wins here and there. And that is it for the grade 2s. Now for the grade 3s. For the grade 3s, we have 4 Break Ride Dragonic Overlords. If you don't get your Break Ride off of him at all, it's not the end of the world. Regular Rebirth will be just fine on its own, even without your Break Ride Overlords. But if you do get your Break Ride Overlords off, he is definitely a handful to deal with. Just the ability where your Vanguard gets the ability to attack twice and stands right back up after the first attack, as long as the first attack was a rear guard, by mere cause of counterbalancing one card and pitching one Kagero. It's just a very powerful ability. Especially on top of that, your Vanguard is already gaining the ability. I'm sorry, I was reading something weird. What was I saying? Oh yeah, just the ability where your Vanguard gains 10k power and the ability to attack twice is still crucially important. And what's really scary about this card is that, unlike the old Overlord from back then, this Overlord does not take away your twin drives. So this card just becomes a heavy-duty card to deal with. And like I mentioned earlier with Twilight Arrow Dragon, there has been games where Break Ride, an Overlord on top of another Overlord, have him swing in for 21 power. Let me play stuff right here, and then when I'm more comfortable, I would Break Ride Rebirth on top of Overlord, and I would go off some nice heavy plays right there, or some nice cagey plays. What I normally do every now and then is I will just ride into Overlord, have my stride units take care of what I need to take care of here and there, and when I'm at my most comfortable, then Break Ride Rebirth on top of Overlord to go in for that heavy aggressive power. And speaking of Overlord Rebirth, your idea, heart, and soul of the entire deck right here, and that is 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord Rebirth. Limit Break 4, lock all 5 of your Kagero rear guard, lock all your Kagero rear guards, and the total rear guards locked by this guy's ability is 5. He not only gains 10k power and the ability of when he attacks the opponent's Vanguard, you can pitch 2 Kageros from your hand, and this card can stand up and attack one more time. So when you even if you use this guy's ability, if you don't ever ride on top of, he also, by the way, before I forget, he also has a cross ride ability where if he's on top of Overlord, he gains additional 2,000 power permanently, which is a nice and useful ability. Anyways, more importantly, even if you don't get the cross break ride, or you don't ride him on top of Overlord at all, he's still 11k double attacker, or 21 I should say, if he does get the double attack ability, which is not terrible. But if you do get the cross break ride off going, he becomes a 33 attacker, swinging at one of your opponent's rear guards and then twice at your opponent's Vanguard, which is just insane. And what's really great about this guy is that all 3 of your attacks, he will be allowed to get access to his twin drive, not to mention the fact that he just gets stronger and more ripped every time you go off with your abilities, which is just insane. As I mentioned earlier, he combos all with Tahr, because we use Tahr's ability on this guy, if you were attacked 3 times, you could potentially get up to 3 grade 3s to your hand with just Tahr's ability alone, which is just crazy for a deck like this. So Rebirth is just an underwhelming card. It's very surprisingly that Rebirth hasn't made the impact he's made just yet. I'm sure with some later test playing, he will be probably a better card. But again, we'll see some further test playing and see how well the card does before we can say how great he really is. And that is it for the main deck right there. Now for the strides. For the strides, we have the 4 aces. You can pretty much get away playing with this deck with just 2 of them, and the deck will work just fine with just 2. I like the ace right here because, as I mentioned earlier with the Harlem, you do want cards to to have some options where you go multiple attacks on your opponent's Vanguard besides just your Rebirth, and he just helps your Nahal get pumped up a little bit more. Just your Nahal can become 2100 attacker, and not just Nahal. What's really great about this card is that just like Rebirth, he combos off with your Tahr very nice, so you could potentially get 2 or 3 grade 3s with this guy's ability. And also, with the mere cost of losing 1 drive check, and Persona Flip 1, he can attack twice your opponent's Vanguard, which is just a very powerful, and then he restands right back up. With the second time he attacks, he will gain 5,000 power. And if the ruling I was told is correct, you can use this guy's ability again to get you to swing with more power, and he will only have a twin drive during the entire time when he attacks, which is just insane powerful card right here. So yeah, nice. And then next up we have 4 Nouvelles. What's really great about this card right here is that with your Rebirth going off like crazy, a very good likely possibility your opponent will have very minimal cards to guard off your attack by the time your Rebirth goes off. And when that happens, you have your Nouvelle ready for you to potentially finish out the job right there. So stop your opponent from perfect guarding, and if your opponent's at 5 damage, they get no trigger offs. So if you have more damage than your opponent and you have the critical for the win, that is practically game over when you get your Nouvelle going off. Now, despite how good Nouvelle is, I don't have Dragonic Blade Master Tridents, but when I do pick up Tridents, I have actually pondered on potentially taking out Tridents to taking out 2 of these cards just so I can put in at least 2 copies of Tridents. I'm not really too sure. I'm not 100% sure if I'll do that or not yet. I'll have to ponder about that. So yeah. And then next up for the rest of the G Guardians, these are the only G Guardians I currently have. The Orb Dragons aren't bad. They do gain a shield whenever 5k shield when they're called G Guardian, as long as your opponent has 4 less rear guards. But I do prefer Griffins, and I also do prefer Defeat Flare Dragons. When I pick up those cards, these might be taken out for those cards. So yeah, but they're not bad in general. And then next up, we have the 2 Roof Flare Dragons, just in case there's those columns I want to take. Just in case there's a column I want to take out without Counter Blasting, Soul Charging, or Soul Blast, whatever such, and I want to keep my stuff reserved, and I still want to pop off the 2 rear guards when I need that to happen. Not to mention, he's a really great card to get over those annoying rear guards that happen to conveniently have abilities where they have anti-targeting. And finally, your go-to strike before you go into anything else. Your 4 Vortex Desire. Nothing really too special about this guy. Unflip 1, and then he gets the ability of his attacks hit. You can retire 1 for every Flame Dragon in your heart or in your Vanguard circle. And since you're playing an Overlord based deck, obviously you will have a Flame Dragon, both him and him as well. So if his attack is hit, you're guaranteed to hit off 2 rear guards. And yeah, Dragoons, that right there was my ReBirth-Stride deck profile. I do like how the build is right now at the moment, and I'm very happy with the success the build has been so far. But as I said earlier, there are always room for improvements, and once I worked out what the deck needs out here and there will be some improvements that we'll be going through, especially after I pick up the Tridents, the Griffins, and the Defeat Flare Dragons when I pick them up as well. So, with that being said, let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below, and I'll see you Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video with other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with these updates about myself and this channel, and subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Legion Alliance. And I'll see you Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.